everyone. I'm Noel with LightPartners.
This conference is being recorded.
Hi, everyone. I'm Noel with LightPartners, and my husband Bob is behind the camera and working the telephone panel today. And it is November 7th, 2013, and we are in the beautiful home of Connie and Marlow Baxter and Andrew. Oops, I got it backwards. Connie Baxter Marlow and Andrew Cameron Bailey. Sorry about that, guys. I've just been saying Connie and Andrew.
That's a
We're
lot
like,
easier. You go with Connie and Andrew.
there we go. There we go. So my apologies.
No worries. It's a mouthful.
Yeah. So I'm so excited to have them here today because this is the first time that our group, we're known as the Co-Creators Convergence. And I would describe us as just evolutionary soul pioneers that are doing our best to uplift the vibration of the planet.
Yay.
And as you know, that resonates with your message.
Well, you know what? The planet is doing everything it can to upgrade our vibration.
There you go. There you go.
Maybe more to the point.
Thank you, Gaia. Well, I'm so thrilled to have them here, and I just want to read a little something to you. They come with such accolades about their new book called The Trust Frequency. And, you know, one day I'm going to get one day I'm going to get this kind of endorsement from Bill Gladstone, who happens to be, if you don't know, the literary agent for Eckhart Tolle, Neil Donald Walsh, Gene Houston, our fave, Barbara Marx Hubbard, and other luminaries in the mind-body-spirit genre. So I'm just going to read a little brief thing that he says about this. He says, the trust frequency, 10 assumptions for a new paradigm by visionary thinkers, activists, filmmakers, performers, and public speakers, Andrew and Connie, is a highly intelligent book that captures and synthesizes as no book published to date has ever done before the true meaning of the present shift in consciousness that many authors have identified and discussed. So that is, congratulations on that.
Yeah, we're thrilled with, Bill gets it, that we're bringing something important and unique to the table. And he does too. He very much resonates to it personally. He's not just a literary agent. He's an author and very much into the shift in consciousness, so we're thrilled.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are part of our group already, we call it the CCC, the Co-Creators Convergence. I did send you some material ahead of time with Connie and Andrew's bio, because these guys are so diversified. I kind of like summarized it like it's the visionary and the scientist on the same frequency. And so the visionary is in tune with the indigenous wisdom keepers, and the scientist was on his search for cosmic consciousness.
Okay.
And
that works. You can stir it up however you like, and it still works.
so shall we say that they're multidimensional and multi-talented. So I really welcome you here. Thank you, Connie and Andrew.
Thank you, Noel and Bob. It's great to be here. You're
Great
a shining light, the two of you.
Great to have you in our home here in Sedona.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And Boomer and I appreciated, my dog Boomer, we appreciated a walk around the premises and to the very sacred vortexes you have on this property. So it's an awesome setting. So I'm just thrilled, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's begin here. And I think what we'd like to do is begin, and Connie, would you share something from your book? The book is The Trust Frequencies, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. It was just released last year, December
21st.
There we go.
2012.
There we go.
Something about that date, it just resonated, you know. It's a good day to release a book. Yeah. Yeah.
We did a whole lot of resonating on that day and the day after, December 22nd, what we called Birth 2012.
Birth 2012.
The day, you know, as you know, because you're good friends with Barbara Marx Hubbard.
And we were in Boulder with the group there and watching the live streaming and participating. We had about 100 people gathered, I think.
Fabulous.
So
We joined.
You were in Australia?
I was there too.
Yeah.
In Boulder?
Yeah, Janet
You
was
were?
there. Yeah.
Janet Gunn.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, so I'm going to ask that Connie, she has a beautiful poem at the beginning of their book, and I'm just going to say if we could now just kind of take a breath, and what we want to do is establish the field and establish the heart resonance, and to just feel the energy that we're all bringing to this time here. And I want to honor all of you for taking the sacred time out of your day, coming together. And I would just like Connie to start off with some very beautiful, beautiful words from her book.
Well, this is the opening prayer to our book, and it's written by Wayne Eagleboy, a Native American, and we want to share that to set the stage for our talk today. Grandfather, creator of all that exists, with this sacred pipe hear my prayer. As the new day dawns, let all people begin anew to walk the good red road of life. May we forget our differences. May we remember our likenesses. Let us hear what we have not heard. Let us see what we have not seen. It is the spark of the universe, the oneness of all life. In such a way, may we be blessed, blessed in a sacred manner.
Oh, thank you so much.
And this sets the stage because what we're bringing with this book is the indigenous cosmology, the indigenous way of knowing. Mm-hmm. And along with quantum science, it's a synthesis of those two, plus Eastern and Western mysticism, all our 136 years of experience we brought together into this book.
That's combined, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And but it's unique in that it's bringing that indigenous cosmology to the table.
I think that's so wonderful to respect the wisdom, and you know, that's been here on the planet the whole time. But then that kind of brings me to what are the different aspects that you synthesize into your paradigm that you come up with? Eastern, Western, indigenous, quantum. What? How would you describe your? You have this great creation, which we're very appreciative of, and just describe it a little bit for us.
Well, what we set out to do is to create a really practical, step-by-step, if you will. It doesn't matter the order of the steps, but there is a series of steps. We actually call, the subtitle of the book is 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. Mm-hmm. A paradigm is simply a set of assumptions. An assumption is a belief or an opinion that we don't question. We take it for granted. And most of our assumptions as a society came to us when we were little children. We didn't consider them, we didn't analyze them, we didn't choose whether or not to accept them. We simply took them on because our moms and our dads and our teachers and so on, it was part of what we were conditioned into. And what we're saying is that the apparent problems, now Yogananda says there are no problems, there are only opportunities.
Exactly.
But those things that we see as challenges, shall we say, are a result of the fundamental assumptions of society. So what we did, when I first met Connie at the Omega Institute in 2003 at a gathering of shamans there, I realized that this woman had, shall we say, an articulation of reality that I had not encountered before. I'd spent a lot of time with Sufis and gurus and so on and read everything and meditated and did all that stuff. And this one expressed things in a way that I had not heard before. Simple, clear, no-brainer, wow. Okay, so filling it with regular. Mm-hmm. And the mission was to get this expressed in as simple and clear a way as possible without going woo-woo, without going mystical, and at the same time to support it using quotes, as you've read in the book. There are quotes from probably 40-odd individuals, ranging from Albert Einstein, quantum physics, to John Lennon, to the Rolling Stones, to Bob Marley, to Native American elders, to Kalahari Bushman elders. In other words, our species. I think I'm a species-wide thinker. I'm observing the evolution of Homo sapiens. That's the way I see it. Connie the same, but Connie has this particularly American approach, which is interesting. I'm a Brit, so I come from a different reality. So
Based
anyway,
in South Africa, so he's
I
really
grew up in
broad
Africa, you know.
experience.
My mentors growing up were Zulus and monkeys and the whole of Western civilization as well.
Wow.
And just, you know, what is the potential of humanity? Where could we be if we, shall we say, deployed our intelligence? Because I believe we have both the intelligence and the information to have a whole other reality. But, and there's a but, the current reality is based on fear-based assumptions that go back generation upon generation. And the whole mission here is to change, to examine those possibly fear-based assumptions and make the choice to switch them to trust-based assumptions. Because if once we're living in a trust-based reality, everything's different. It's a different vibratory state. And the laws and the rules are different. So the world just transforms.
I like when you, one part in the book where you say that it's living in the trust frequency is where the magic happens.
That's right.
And I think for myself and others on the call, we love the magic.
Yeah. Well, that's the order of the day. What we
Right.
consider magic, what we consider impossible, you know, from this place, from this frequency, it is impossible. Okay? And it looks like magic because somebody's accessed that higher frequency. You know, like even Jesus himself, you know, he was a model of living in this frequency. He reached in and brought the loaves and the fishes, you know, the abundant universe. It is an abundant universe beyond our ability to fathom once we get ourselves into that higher frequency. So that's what this trust frequency is all about.
Okay.
And the indigenous cosmology is a trust-based paradigm. You don't hoard, you give away, you don't save. You know there will be more tomorrow, okay? But you've got to act from that place. You have to live it and be it, and that's the tough thing. When you're emerging from one frequency, one dimension to another, it's tough to act from that place. You can think it all you want, and it's been in all our religions forever, and it's in our classic novels and classic works. You know, there's a truth that's in all of those works, and the people who've gone through the ages, that stand out through the ages, have seen it, have resonated to that frequency and brought it through their work, through their lives. And so we're just giving some practical tools for getting there.
Well, I think that's absolutely outstanding because there's so many different avenues, but really but there's one truth. And what you do is bring that one truth and a path to that truth. And I really liked your book because I felt that it was very easy to comprehend, but it had great chapters. And the fact that at the beginning of each chapter, it tells you like what's from the old paradigm thought system and the new paradigm thought system. So that just, you know, smacks you right across the face, like, wake up, and we got a great message for you. But I do have a question. Okay, so there are 10 assumptions. And I'm thinking like, is this going to be like the new 10 commandments?
You know, 10 is a pretty arbitrary number, okay? Although I have to confess that there was the whole idea of the 10 commandments has kind of a ring to it. Yeah. Like we all grew up with this idea of the 10 commandments. So the original title of the book was The 10 Assumptions. Okay? And it could have been the 11 assumptions or the 33 assumptions or the 1.5 assumptions. But the fact is, somehow 10 just sort of works. And, you know, feel free to enhance it. Feel free to change the assumptions. These are suggestions. These are really an offering. You guys are into, and we are too, into this idea that we have called conscious evolution.
Right.
We, I would say that a small percentage of our species has recognized the fact that we are still evolving. We're a work in progress. I think you would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you the choir on that one, Andrew.
So the question is, and if I went out into the broader world, I might get, you know, tomatoes thrown at me for suggesting that. But my strong feeling is that I personally, as a human being, am a work in progress. I'm an evolutionary being. I'm in development, as is our entire species, as is our planet, as is our universe.
Assumption 9 is humanity is on an evolutionary upward spiral.
So the 9th assumption, okay, how about that? Humanity is on an evolutionary upward spiral, as opposed to the consensus on that, which might be, we're going to hell in a handbasket, right?
Exactly.
If anybody can ever figure out what a handbasket is, we're doomed.
That's great. And, that's when another thing I'm going to come back to your book, is that I am very practical. And everyone that knows me on this call is I'm always looking for, okay, I can read these things, they're beautiful, but how do I actualize this? How do I make this part of my everyday life? And I think that's one of the great gifts that your book brings, because it's, if you will, it's just like conscious evolution, how to do it, 101 for...
Conscious evolution 101,
Well,
if you like.
Yeah.
Although, let me just quickly say,
Yeah.
it's not easy. The reason is, these old assumptions, you can't just lay this over. You can't just layer this as a new paradigm over the old assumptions, which are deep inside. They're in our unconscious, now subconscious, and they'll sabotage us every step of the way.
Because it's a vibratory thing.
Yeah. So
If
the
they're lower
challenge-
vibration and you're laying a higher vibe over it,
Yeah.
they're going to keep
Still
you at
there.
the lower
It's
vibration.
still there.
Yeah, you're building on a false foundation, if you will. So the real challenge with this work is to go deep. It's not something you can read the book and say, "Oh, I get it," and go to the next
Exactly.
New Age book on the library shelf. It's not like that. This actually takes inner work.
And what we say is that you have to take this construct. It's an entire construct. To have it work, to have it actually flip how you see the world, you have to take it every aspect of it as absolutely true. See, and it presents some paradoxes, and it
Talk about
resolves
the
some
paradoxes.
paradoxes.
Yeah.
So you see, because we have a hard time taking things as absolutely true because they present a paradox. And if its paradox isn't resolved, then you go, well, excuse me, but God is love. Excuse me, but what about war? What about abuse? What about all the horrible things? How can that be God if God is love? Because that's obviously not love. Well, that's one of our major things that we resolve, a major paradox that we resolve. And with our assumption number 1 and assumption number 2. And assumption 1 is?
Simply, we live in a conscious, loving universe.
Amen.
Okay?
There's
There is
only-
nothing but love, or there is only love. In other words, the entire universe is composed of love with a capital L. It's not holding hands. It's not champagne and roses. It is a quantum physics force, energy, that which has actually created and sustains the entire universe. We're simply calling that by the word love with a capital L. Okay, so God is that concept of God. You'll notice we don't use the word because it carries so much baggage. In the book, we simply call it the conscious loving universe. We call it the all that is.
And that is in assumption 8, all of creation is one. Separation is a man-made illusion. We are the conscious loving universe. We are the conscious loving universe. So the
There's
resolution...
another paradox, because we're obviously in these individual bodies. There's 4 of us in this room right now, and yet we are one. So this whole idea of non-duality that's becoming a big deal right now, this whole realization that some of us are coming to, the integrated self, as opposed to sort of the schizophrenic divided self, the return to unity or oneness or non-duality. And it's a paradox, because apparently there are 7 billion human beings on this planet, each in separate bodies rattling around with all these different ideas and opinions, and yet we're one. And that's one of the most beautiful paradoxes in the universe. There are a trillion different manifestations of one. It's a gigantic mirror ball with each of us is a different, beautiful facet of that mirror. And our job is to polish that little facet that's us and shine the best we can. And that way the universe is the most amazing it can be. I think that's our job.
So that's one of the other paradoxes. But the one I'm speaking of with assumption 1 and 2, there is only love. Okay, how can there be only love when there's all this horrible stuff going on? Okay. What we say in assumption 2, the universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for. Okay, so we're basically redefining the concept of unconditional love. It doesn't mean we're going to be sweet and kind, and the universe is going to be sweet and kind to you unconditionally. No, it's going to give you. It loves you so much. You are so loved, and we are actually the conscious, loving universe. Everyone is. That it must give you everything you ask for, and it's a vibratory thing as well. So we're saying that your consciousness and 7 A's, we have 7 words that begin with A that we have control over, are our requests to that loving universe. So through really basically our vibratory level, because every single thing has a vibratory level, and once we learn how to shift those, we've said these 7 A's into a higher frequency, then we get what we dream, and even beyond what we can dream. You see, there's the whole other thing we're bringing to the table, that there's something beyond anything we can fathom that's waiting for us in this higher frequency.
That's, I love what you're saying, and it reminds me of something, actually, as part of Bob and my prayer every day. It's something from Reverend Michael Beckwith. He says, "My imagination is Spirit's vehicle, and it creates mightily through me and as me." And I just think when different situations come up, I just say, why don't I just step back? The universe has a much better imagination than I do.
There you go.
And then I, just allow, and I'll say some really wild, blessed, beautiful things have been happening in our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me, you guys among them.
Yeah, well, we feel the same. We feel the same.
Yeah.
But let me say one thing
Sure.
that fleshes out this concept of only love and the unconditional nature of that love. And that is that when we incarnate, see our definition, we have several definitions, and our definition of humanity.
This is our terminology, without which it may be difficult to understand what we mean when we use certain words. So we actually start out to sort of introducing what we mean by a series of terms, which Connie will.
Yeah, so this one, humanity, a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth to learn and grow on their soul's journey to wholeness, each with an individual purpose and a unique gift. So what we're saying with this is that, and it's a lot of conscious people know this, a lot of people don't and have a hard time with it,
Right.
that we actually choose to come on earth. So that's our overarching act of free will. Because one of our other things is that free will,
That's another one here.
is an absolute.
Assumptions.
It's absolute.
Mhm.
And so we chose, that's our overarching act of free will. We chose to come on with a gift, a purpose, on our soul's journey to wholeness. This is key to understand that everything that happens in our lives happens for us.
Amen.
Okay? And it even happens through us, because our soul magnetizes the behavior of others. It magnetizes, brings in the experiences the soul needs to realize that it's the gift that it brought, to realize its purpose, to go on this journey to wholeness, to get these experiences that we have to work on, spend our whole life feeling victimized by, or whatever, in the old paradigm that was a victim-perpetrator paradigm, blame, shame, game paradigm. And what we realize is that everything is here for us. We are so loved that that even abuse or murder or whatever, once you take this as absolutely true,
Right.
it flips everything upside
It's
down.
so difficult for so many. 'Cause,
Yes.
you know, the why do bad things happen to good people? But, you know,
Yeah.
I was thinking about writing a book, my own stuff, saying, thank God for bad things. Because when I think back on some of the, quote, bad things that have happened in my life, I'm thinking like, oh, there was a blessing. Oh, there was a blessing. And they forced me to get out of that comfort zone and really helped my growth. So I now trust that it is my soul that's calling these things forth.
Good for you, yeah.
And we call that circumstance. And Joseph Campbell, toward the end of his life, said there were 3 of those terrible things that happened in his life. I don't know if it was death or disease or an accident or whatever it was. He pointed to 3 particular turning points in his life, without which he would never have become who he became, that felt really terrible at the time. But looking back on them, he realized that the circumstances that came through his life and redirected his path were exactly what he needed, and they actually came from the loving universe and not from some accidental, terrible arbitrariness.
We say circumstance loves us more than we do.
How about that?
Okay, say that
Yes,
again.
Circumstance loves us more than we love ourselves.
Because see, we're incarnated into this lower frequency that doesn't honor the human heart, doesn't honor the human spirit, isn't aligned with the true nature of the universe. So we took on, I don't like to say conditioned, because that sounds like somebody outside did it to us, okay? We chose, in order to survive, because that's our job, to survive and propagate like any species, we chose to align so that we wouldn't end up in a loony bin, we wouldn't, we'd make it through the system and be successful and loved and all that stuff. Most of us chose to take on the thinking and the attributes of this frequency. So we think we want to be a doctor, we want to be successful, we want to have a new car, we want to have this, that, and the other thing. And circumstance says, excuse me, you're not going to be a doctor, you came to be a poet. So you're going to flunk out of law school, doctor school or whatever, and you're going to be the black sheep, and nobody's going to love you for any of that, and you're going to be writing soulful poetry and change the world that way,
Right. Bob, would you like to join in here?
You bet, I'd like to jump in. As I'm reading the book, I really love the way you're very clear about 3 pieces of the process: inner work, and then this acceptance piece. So talk about the 3 pieces of the process, ending with allowing, and if you would.
Well, actually, this entire book and this entire construct is concerned with consciousness, the specific consciousness that we as humans experience. And it's actually there are 7 aspects to it. Now, I don't know if you've ever come across a really good definition of consciousness. We were at you remember the film What the Bleak Do We Know?
Yes, What the Bleak
Do We Know? And there was a conference in Santa Monica, and one of the questions, there were about 900 people attending, and 5 or 6 people who were in the film up on the stage. And someone said, excuse me, can you define consciousness? And you know what? They were not able to come up with a cohesive definition of what is meant by consciousness. One said, well, it's awareness, and and these are really intelligent, brilliant people with PhDs. So what we ended up doing was saying, okay, go to the dictionary. First aspect of consciousness is awareness. Simply awareness, begins with the letter A. But then there are 6 more, there's a whole lot more than that, again, but we've ended up with this group of words that actually sort of break up the structure of consciousness. Awareness, attention, assumption, alignment is one of them. You just mentioned allowing. The very last one is where you step back and allow the conscious, loving universe, which probably knows more than we do and wants more for us than we want for ourselves.
Yeah, sure.
And a really critical one is the word action.
Action.
Walking your talk. It's all very well to be theoretical and cerebral.
Right.
So, there are the 3-step process. I think in the book I was talking about the secret.
Ah, okay, yes.
So the secret is,
Yes, thank
the
you.
idea there is the law of manifestation, as I understand it, and to become clear about what it is you want, to vision it, to visualize it, to tell the universe exactly what color Mercedes you want to show up in your driveway next Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, exactly the model, and get really clear about that. And so the secret to me seemed to be very materialistic. It was an incredibly successful phenomenon as a film and as a book, and it was really important in that it demonstrated one of our little known capabilities as human beings. We do have this ability. But if you went into it not having done your inner work, let's say I am putting out, I'm going to have this beautiful new Mercedes next Saturday, but deep inside, I'm a wounded little boy, and I know I'm not worthy, and I know I don't deserve it. Am I going to get that Mercedes? No. And I suspect the vast majority of people who went out and studied all of that work so hard and really put a lot of attention on it, it probably didn't work. Because it's a 3-step process. It's not visualize it and it'll be there. It's do your inner work, and then you'll visualize it from another place. You won't be the same person anymore. You may not care about the Mercedes anymore because now you're in a higher vibratory state where, sure, you can have a Mercedes. Maybe you're going to get 10 of them. Doesn't matter. Connie?
And what we're basically saying is, okay, the secret taught us we have that power. It's a key step in the process of awakening to who we truly are, and the power of the human heart, spirit, and mind, and our thoughts. But what we're saying is, okay, we can manipulate the unified field, but why would we? When from our limited position, like I say, I don't want my little pea brain dictating my life. Okay? I want what the universe wants for me that's beyond what I can fathom. So there's no way I would tell the universe what I want. I'm going to look at the signs that are presented to me and act accordingly and go where the brave dare not go. Trusting that loving universe that's showing me through other people's behavior, through circumstance, through intuition, through feeling, whatever it is, to just do it. Nike says, just do it. Okay? Madison Avenue has brought a lot of divine instructions. We just can't be in judgment. We've got to see where the divine instruction comes from and go for it. Right. And when we resonate to it, we know it's wherever it came from. We can't judge the messenger and the message, the whole Marshall McLuhan thing. So one thing, Andrew was talking about the 7 A's. And see, what we feel that these 7 A's, and he mentioned like 5 of them, he left out a couple. We have, these are tools that we can take every day and say, okay, what am I allowing in my awareness? What am I denying? What is my level of awareness? And somebody's trying to point out to me that I've got some stupid tapes. Am I willing to go into my stupid tape, look at it, and admit that I've got a stupid tape and release it? And then
so your stupid tape will be like your reactive sort of position. Instead of responding to a situation, you go to that 5th grade, they don't like me,
they don't like me, I'm stupid, I'm not okay,
so
and then you go into reaction, and then, so are you willing to look at that and work on it and bring it up into the light, and also then there's assumption. What are our core assumptions? And then there's our attitude. What is our attitude towards what has happened in our life? Do we understand that it's a gift? Or are we feeling victimized and poor pitiful me? And there's attention. Where are we putting our attention? This whole thing this is a key one, because we create what we put our attention on. So people out there, we empower it. So people out there, the conscious people think they are doing all this to us, and the Illuminati, whatever, this whole conspiracy thing about
don't forget
them.
about the ball.
And whatever it all is. I don't pay any attention to it because that's not what I choose to have in my reality. We have the free will to have anything in our reality we want. Once we understand how it works, you know, yes, sure, that can be your reality. I don't choose to go there. That's not my dream, as lame deer. Someone said that lame deer said, you know, no, that's not my dream. Sorry, you can have your dream. You want that? You can have it. So where we put our attention and what we're aligned with. Are we aligned with our heart? Are we aligned, you know, just what are we aligning with that results in our action?
Right.
And action is key. It's the real kicker, because if you're going to a job out of fear, and you keep going to that job out of fear, your body's not going to be in the place where the magic can find you.
Right.
Okay? So you're off at work when, and we use an example that...
Do you remember the little story in the book about the guy who wakes up in the morning and his intuition says, don't go to work.
Oh, I
He's
just
like,
read that this
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
And he's
Yes.
like, what are you talking about? But he listens, and 9 o'clock he's supposed to be at work, but supposed to be, not supposed to be. He gets up and wanders confused down to the mailbox and checks the mail, and here comes this neighbor jogging by, says, oh, just the man I was looking for. How would you like to run my business in Honolulu? And like the next thing he's sitting under a palm tree reading the book.
And it all happened.
Yeah.
And
So
that
that-
wouldn't have happened had he said, nope, I've got to get up and go to work because guess what? I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. And
So he was really connected to spirit, to source, to
He-
the high frequency,
he
to know.
trusted something. Yeah.
So he's
trusted-
done his inner work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He actually, he was challenged because there were both sides of it, but then he made the choice to trust this intuition or whatever little voice was speaking to him that said, don't go to work. And it transforms his life. So there's an example.
So then the last one is allowing, which we talked about. So is there a question, Bob,
No,
from the audience?
there might be. You might want to ask
Yeah, we
Noel.
could ask if,
Unmute everybody.
do you feel like this is a good point to ask
At
for?
any point, if anybody would like to come in, because we could go on and we could talk for a week, obviously.
We've given a bit of a feel for what we're talking about, so sure.
Yeah, is there anyone there that would like to ask a question of Connie and Andrew?
Just speak up.
I have a question, not a question, a comment.
Okay. Who's speaking, please, and tell us where you're from and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Darren Coates.
Oh, hi, Darren.
Hey. I don't know how I got on the line.
Because you were
You
supposed to
find
be.
us, that's you,
why.
Darren.
It's magic.
Yeah. Do you have a question for us?
No, comment, he said.
I'll just say that I'm grateful for whoever's talking there because they're absolutely correct.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
thank you. This is Andrew and Connie, Darren, and good to meet you on the telephone here. And if you missed the introduction, we wrote this book called The Trust Frequency.
And we're happy that it resonates for you and that you is serving to confirm your own knowing. That's really what we're doing, is confirming our own inner knowing that we've known forever as children, and we've just subjugated to go out into this world.
Yeah, I've already ordered your book.
Oh yay, Darren! You get our film too, you know.
You get a free copy. You get a bonus copy of a really nice motion picture that we made, a documentary. We went out and visited about 14 different indigenous cultures and had an interview with the wise elders from these cultures. And yeah, you'll be getting that.
people we've known for 20 to 40 years, and so they're really speaking from their hearts. As long as you got it from our website, if you got it from Amazon, you won't get the film, but you can.
That's true. Yeah,
You
definitely
can get it from
order-
us. We
Order
can-
it through us, because if you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble and so on, you won't get the. That's a good point. Yeah.
And let me just mention the name of the film that they did is called In Search of the Future, What Do the Wise Ones Know? And I watched it, thoroughly enjoyed it, and you traveled the globe.
Well, half the globe. Only half.
Okay.
There's a second film coming where we travel the other half. We haven't done that yet.
So you were at the Calamari Bushmen
The
and
Kalahari
Kalahari.
Bushmen. The Calamari Bushmen are more of an underwater phenomenon. I love
Calamari.
I think I just need a drink of water.
them. or something stronger than that. Would you like some water?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
But anyway, Darren, thank you so much. And
Anything else you'd like to say, Darren? I'm sorry, we've been doing too much talking here.
No, I'd just like to visit with you sometime, that's all.
We have a home. We're sitting at our place here in Sedona. We're very rarely here because we're on the road. We're filmmakers and writers, and we've just published the book, The Trust Frequency, so we're on the road promoting that and
Living life
and working toward our next film as well.
But if you send us an email to trust@thetrustfrequency.net, we'll put you on our list and we'll send you some links. We've got YouTube channels with a lot of this information. You can really take a college course in the trust frequency from all the material we have up on the web. So,
and maybe this is a good time just to mention the website, which
Yes,
is
please.
which is simply thetrustfrequency.net. So everybody out there, just go to thetrustfrequency.net, and that's the portal to get in touch with us.
and you can go on YouTube. We have the Trust Frequency YouTube channel as well. So, among other YouTube channels.
And you can go looking for Connie, Baxter, Marlow. You'll find, just Google her name or my name, Andrew Cameron Bailey. You'll find us all over the place, it seems.
We've been at this for a while.
Let me just tell you something about Darren, speaking of RVers.
Oh, okay.
He came to our Co-Creators Convergence, our first one, that we held at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado.
Yeah.
And he showed up in a brand new RV.
Whoa.
Yay!
And he lives in Idaho, and Darren, I believe you live on this trust frequency. It's just so thrilled to have you on the call. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'll be present.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
be in
Anybody
touch.
else?
This is Dinama.
There she
Oh,
is.
hi, Dinama.
Hi. I am so excited. I am almost speechless, and those who know me would find that to be quite a miracle.
Oh,
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed, I would, Dinama.
We like that.
Wow.
Yay.
Oh.
I would like to just honor you in your frequency of communion and your beautiful energy exchange. You have put words to things that some of us only are feeling vibrationally. And I mean, it's such a beautiful language that you have created in the simple trust frequency assumption and then the 10 assumptions. And anyway, I'm just so grateful and thankful to you. And I actually got this surge of, and maybe everybody else has seen this already, but I just got this huge surge of the vision of all of us understanding these principles of co-creation so well that we are practicing it all the time with the intention collectively of creating this new earth.
Yep.
We are all carrying that in our hearts, but it's like connecting with one another right now is a way to just amplify this galactically.
There you go.
Yep, you're sensing something that's, we call God's big event. We don't really use God, the word God, but it's the big event, and we're God, and we're doing it.
Right.
And we're transforming all of creation with opening our hearts and letting the love that's in the human heart. What I say is all of creation is awaiting the love in the human heart, and that's up to us to open our hearts and walk and act from that place and bring heaven on earth. So, wow. Thank you.
I'm very, very happy to meet you, and I will also be connecting with you much more. I'm just so grateful.
Well, thank you. We're grateful to your beautiful articulation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, thank you.
And anybody who does get the book, please go on Amazon and write a review.
That's all we do. Yeah, that helps. It's
Oh, I
not-
knew there was something I had to do tomorrow.
There you
Why
go.
haven't I already done it?
It's not
It's
easy.
action. I haven't taken
It's
action.
an action. Thank you. It's quite a lot of work. Firstly, just writing a book and getting it right and getting it finally tweaked so you can put it out, and then the work begins. Which is
But Andrew wrote this book. He actually is the guy who sat down and put those words together in that order. It's a synthesis of our lives and our knowing and our experience, very much a synthesis. And he actually wrote the book in a beautiful manner, and he did it you know, from that place of I'm going to write a book that's practical, that's easy to read, that's fun, that's, you know, and he did it.
Very profound, and it also has sprinkling of humor that I so
Yeah.
enjoy.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some wonderful stories and poetry, which is also wonderful.
So it's bringing through the inspiration and yeah, you know, I'm British and I was raised with some pretty nutty humor. And I can't help sneaking a bit of it in there. You know?
And I'll tell you, some of that British humor leaves this little American cold.
Oh, yeah.
But the stuff in the book is really great. But I mean,
Oh.
him and the what is it, the Goon Show and all that. Those Brits, they're out there.
Are there any other questions out there for Connie or Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, well, just tell us your name and where you're calling from, and go ahead, please.
My name is Joyce, and I'm calling from Eugene, Oregon.
Hi, Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Hi. Lovely phone call. I've never been on one of these calls before, but I've met Barbara Mark Hubbard. Earlier, somebody said something about three pieces of the process, and I wrote that down, and I guess I missed somehow what the three pieces were.
Aha. Yeah, so we really don't, you know, Bob had brought that idea up. It's,
Really more about the secret, wasn't it?
yeah, it was to do with the secret and the nature of the way people have tried to use the law of attraction or the law of manifestation, and it's more than just a mental process. So you might say that the secret tells us how to clarify our desires, let's put it that way. If let's say I want a new job, so the secret seems to say, okay, get very clear about what the new job is, how are you going to feel when you're there, act as though it is already so, truly believe it, imagine it, visualize it, and it will manifest. Now the problem with that is that it might do that, it might indeed do that if you have done your inner work, if you've done step one, because to me, that's step two. Step one has to do with eliminating those, shall we say, outdated or negative or erroneous beliefs and assumptions that we took on as little children. The belief perhaps that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve what it is we're asking for. So now we consciously, using our left brain, say, I want this new job, but underneath in our subconscious, we're being sabotaged by a deep, ancient belief that we're not going to get it. And that's what the universe responds to. That's what the universe hears. It hears not the words, it hears the feelings. It feels the feelings and manifests accordingly. So,
And then we take it another step, and that is that we, from this level, we don't want to be saying what exact job we want, because there's a job that wants us that we can't even imagine, couldn't even fathom that we could even get.
Right.
And my daughter actually went through that experience, and she was really upset because somebody edged her out of a job, and they moved her and did this and that. But she realized later that it actually put her in a position to get a job that she didn't even know she wanted.
there you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is key, and that we were just using that example of the secret process to give an example of an aspect of it that of this manifestation thing,
Right.
that we've got to do that deep work, and then as Andrew said, we may not even want that job we wanted from our wounded place and our desire to be loved, because we don't feel loved or secure or all that. So
if I understand it correctly, you've gone way beyond the 3-step process and really come in with your
7 A's.
with your 7 A's.
Well,
And
it's not. Yeah, it's not quite that, because the 7 A's are not a sort of step by step. It's just a way of sort of understanding our own consciousness.
Okay.
In a way, our consciousness,
So we have to get that clear
our
first.
consciousness is an incredible tool that each of us has,
Mhm.
but we don't really know what it is or how to use it. So we're breaking it down to know that, okay, my consciousness is my awareness. It's my attitudes, it's my assumptions, it's where I put my attention. And I think you can see some of these are active and some are passive. You know, I'm putting my attention on you, that's an active,
Right.
that's an act, that's actually an act. Then I step out, once I've made up my mind about something, when I've really meditated on it, and I then put one foot in front of the other and move in a direction. I take action according to these other aspects of my consciousness, and then I let go.
There you
I
go.
trust.
That's the allowing.
Then I move into what we call the trust frequency, which is simply a higher vibratory level.
Mhm.
It's a very 60s thing. It's not, we're not talking about oscillations, megahertz, and that kind of frequency. We're talking about a higher vibration, as Bob Marley would understand it.
Or good vibrations from
Oh,
the
the
Beach
Beach
Boys.
Boys.
Good vibrations.
Exactly.
But each of these things have a vibratory rate, these 7 A's. So these are things that we can look at, pay attention to, and shift
And
into a
elevate.
higher frequency. So they become our requests to the universe. So once we understand that those are our requests to the universe.
That's what the universe responds
That's what it's
to.
responding to.
The universe
So
responds to
your
the-
life is a mirror of what you put out to the universe.
We manifest what's going on. In other words, as within, it manifests without.
Mhm.
And, you know, we may try to fake it, but you can't fake it with the universe. So
Mhm.
if you're going around with a smiley face and, you know, look, I'm
Right.
manifesting all, but it's, you know, that's-
Right. Right.
then you look in the mirror and you look inside and
Yeah.
And
So
one
it's
thing we
coming.
have to realize with this definition of humanity, that we chose to come on this journey to wholeness. We chose, when we incarnated, we chose our family, we chose the circumstances, whatever abuse, whatever goodness, but whatever abuse that we're looked at, we're the victim. No, we chose it for this journey to wholeness. So we've got stuff in our unconscious because we chose this family that was going to negate us or put us down and make us feel unloved. So here we are, we've got it in our unconscious, we've stuffed it so we can survive. You know, so here it is sitting back there, it's stuffed, we paint our face smiley and okay, we're out there, we're showing up at school, we're doing our thing, we're getting A's, you know, people like us, but every once in a while we manifest this person in our life that says, you know, you're just you're worthless. You know, I can't stand you because
Maybe
you're
it's a
worthless.
relationship or
A relationship,
some kind
and
of-
that's the job of an intimate. We actually have these vows of love in the book
They're very
that
beautiful.
basically says, yes, an intimate relationship. I will reflect the light and beauty that's in your heart. I will also reflect your shadow, those parts of yourself you do not yet love.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got all this stuff in our unconscious. So people that come into our life repeatedly
Mhm.
to show us that we feel unworthy, that we feel unloved, that we're just worthless.
Right.
Okay, so when
Right.
that mirror comes, it is our job not to say, I hate you, go away. It's to say, oh,
Thank
hello, thank you.
it's
And
really
that's what this vows
challenging
of
to
love.
be grateful to those people.
Exactly.
Okay?
I
But
know
that's
it's
the
those ones
key
that
that-
really tweak you the most, that they're tweaking you for a reason. So
Yeah,
there's something
it's the loving
unresolved in
universe.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So you get it, girl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
I know.
definitely get it.
Every time I get tweaked, I go, now what is that about me?
Yeah.
You know,
Good girl.
instead of what is it about them, it's, you know,
Yeah.
what is it about me? Oh,
Yeah.
darn it, it's that thing. But you know, this time I get,
Am I still attracting that
Yeah.
vibe?
yeah.
Okay, and you know, there is some, you know, in the 4 agreements that everybody